How's everyone doing? I kind of love how some people just got so freaked out last night about before Trump even tried to stage the coup, right? Like when when the initial vote counts were coming in and people were like freaking out. They're like, "Oh my God, Trump's ahead!" And I'm just thinking, we legit told you that was going to happen. We legit told you that it was going to look like Trump was in the lead on election night. And that's why it was so important that he not declare victory early. This was legit being reported for weeks leading up to the vote. How did you guys miss this? How did so many people miss this that you're like, oh my God, we lost? Dude, we won. We're just waiting for them to finalize it. They can't do it on as close a margin as they've done in the past. But we've already won. If this was like a former year where we didn't go through 2016, we didn't have Russian interference and shit, they would have already declared it for Biden. But at this point, we need to count everything because we have to make sure that it's indisputable. But yeah, we won. This is over, you guys. We totally won this. So basically, I don't know about you guys. Like, what are you doing to, do you have plans? Do you have I think a lot of us have probably thought about, like, what's your first post going to be? And I already called it out earlier today, because I've been taking the day off. I've just been like, I had sushi. I had, I blow dried my hair for the first time in a long time. How's that, you guys? I blow dry. I haven't done the roots yet, but I did blow dry it. I just like chilled out. I did some home chores. I fielded some calls to help people calm down earlier this morning so that they knew that, look, it's not over yet, you guys. Yeah, we're still counting, but let's be real. We're trending in the direction of a Biden win. I think it's really unlikely at this point that he won't win Arizona and Nevada, and that puts him at 270. But the bonus, the whipped cream on the cake, or whatever the expression is, is that we're picking up the other swing states too. And I don't know if we're going to get the Senate, but that's not all done being counted either. And it's under the same circumstance that the Democrats are turning and their ballots are being counted last because they did the right thing and voted by mail because of COVID-19. This is not the same type of year as every other year. So have you guys all planned it out? Like, what are you going to do? Like, what's going to be your first, like, reaction on social media when you find out that Biden is projected as the winner? I tell you, this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to do a live stream, like with the news footage. And I'm hoping I get to do this. But if it's too late at night, I can't do it. But if it's... like, I have to be considerate of my neighbors. But if it's like middle of the day, like if it's tomorrow, middle of the day, I was going to blast We Are the Champions. I was still going to blast that on my stereo. But if it's late, I'll probably just do like one like really loud hoot so everyone can hear me. And then I'll be done. I won't live stream something like that. But let's be real. It's looking really good for us. It's looking really good. It's looking really good. There's supposed to be another Nevada update tonight. I don't know if that's going to be the update where they're comfortable enough declaring it, like enough of the votes in. If it's like mathematically impossible at that point for Trump to win. I have no idea. But I think I read that it was like at 8 or 9 o'clock. And it's only like, I think they're in the same time zone as California, so I think it's only like 6:30 or something right now. It's dark because the time changed. But it's actually quite early. That's one thing I hate about winter. It's so dark. But, you guys ready? The nightmare's about to end. Well, I mean, partially. We still have him as like a lame duck president, and he's like maniacal, and he might try and like do stuff. But I think the GOP is trying to separate themselves from him at this point, and they might actually try and rein him in so that he doesn't like destroy the careers of the rest of the party. Because I mean, they lost a lot of seats in Orange County. We'll see, Chris. We'll see, Chris. I don't think he's going to lose Arizona. I think he's got that in the bag. Plus, he's been gaining on Georgia and in the other swing states too. I think we're going to be okay. How did Mark Kelly's race get called? Did he? Are you still listening? Did Mark Kelly's race get called? Because I haven't really looked at all the Senate seats. I know that I think that there's still 5 in play. Well, you know, if you're not, you hope not. Okay, so you don't know. Let's just hang tight. Let's see what happens. Chris went to high school with me, by the way. How you doing, buddy? I haven't talked to you in ages. I haven't seen you since high school. We should get together and have some coffee. I want it to be decisive as well, but you know what? I don't know that we're going to get that like within 2 days. I don't know. I don't know, Chris, that we're going to get that within 2 days. I think there was a lot of disinformation circulated. I mean, not only this year, but in the 2016 election too. I think people got a little more wise this time around and started to be able to identify what the misinformation was, that, you know, more so than in the 2016 election. And I think also sexism played in the 2016 election. People were more willing to have a lot of vitriol against Hillary because she was a woman and she was kind of not exactly a warm, likable personality, right? But if you look at her career, she wasn't like, the worst thing they can point to are her emails in Benghazi. And Trump just killed over 230,000 Americans through COVID-19. Like, how do you even like look at the mistake of the 3 deaths in Benghazi and compare that to 230,000 plus Americans? How do you... So I got a few people on now. Betty's on, Rhonda's on. Glad you agree with me. What do you guys like? How I was asking earlier, if you jumped in a little bit late, what have you planned out something as your like initial first reaction when they announced that Biden has won? Have you thought about like what your first initial reaction is going to be? Because depending on what time of day it is, if it's kind of late, I'm just going to do like a loud hoot. But if it's like daytime, like sound hours, where it's not like you know, going to be like, they'll call the cops on me again, because they legit did that to me when my future daughter-in-law was in labor. They called the cops on me. If it's middle of the day, I'm going to blast We Are the Champions. Absolutely going to do that. You haven't been sleeping, Chris? I actually got sleep last night. The only reason I woke up as early as I did this morning is because I had an alarm set to attend Los Amigos, and I skipped it because I decided I wanted to sleep in. Rhonda says she's gonna lean out her window and yell, "Fuck yeah!" I'll do this. I'll be like, "What?" I'll do it better than that. You got 8 hours of sleep in the last three days, dude. I slept pretty good last night, except for the fact that I was a little scared that I'd wake up and like find riots in the streets. But the fact that I had worked so hard to election day, I was so exhausted that I did get like a fairly decent amount of sleep last night. Chris was up all night. I just was too tired. I had been volunteering all day, you know. My neighbors can kiss my ass if they don't like it. It's one moment in time, man. Honestly, I think everybody who was supporting Biden should go out and start banging pots and pans when he wins. It should be like New Year's Eve. It should be like New Year's Eve. The stupid Republicans always threw at the 3 deaths in Benghazi. It's very tragic that these people died, and she did make a mistake. But when you compare that to what Trump's done, how do you even compare that? How do you compare that to what a lot of people have done? I mean, look at the Vietnam War. Nothing she did was more horrible than any other president before her, as far as I'm concerned. And even my own personal reasons for not liking her were not valid for discrediting her for being a president. My personal reasons were that I wanted her to divorce Bill. I felt like she should stand on her own 2 feet, and that she was leveraging Bill to advance her career, and that he was so horrible to her as a husband by cheating on her and making her look like a fool for staying in that marriage. And me, as a divorced person, I felt like she invalidated my decision by acting like you have to stay in a situation like that. And I realize that's a terrible thing to judge a presidency on, but it was where my mind was at in the moment, was that she was not someone who was advancing social issues. And that was one of the social issues that really mattered to me, was that single women need to be legitimized. So that's where I stood on the subject, was that I thought that she was definitely qualified, but I felt like she wasn't pushing women's issues forward, and she was slow on some other social issues like gay marriage, gays in military. She's still slow on transgender issues. These things matter to me, but at the same time, Trump is like back in the 50s. So she still would have been an advancement to us over what we got. And I will be the first to admit I made a mistake in throwing my vote to a third party. I'm going to try and read through some of these comments real quick. Leanne got up at 4. Did you do that naturally or by alarm? Rhonda was worried about riots. I was too. Actually, Rhonda, I was personally worried that there'd be like some sort of MAGA train parade in front of my house, because they have legit done that before. Right, John. I agree with you. Like, I mean, I just don't want the example in the White House to be somebody who had stayed in an abusive relationship, because that personally, and this is actually one of the things that was going on during the second term when they were impeaching Clinton, that I have a much different opinion of this now. 20 years later. It's over 20 years later. I have a much different opinion now. Now I feel like what's in your personal life is in your personal life, and it shouldn't be exposed like that on a public stage. The entire basis for impeaching him, I think, was wrong. I mean, they impeached him because he lied about having sexual relations with a mistress. That should have been his personal business. But in the moment when that was going on, I felt like he was putting shame on the White House, and it was a moral indecency that he was bringing to the White House. Obviously, now it's 20 years later, and I have a completely different perspective on how we should treat these issues. Like, people have shit that goes on in their personal lives that does not affect how they can perform the job. And I wish I had evolved to that point by 2016, but I still had that in the back of my head when Hillary was running. Okay, John says, Pence looks like he's from the 1950s, but he thinks like he's from the 1650s. What's that? You say the pregnancy was terminated before birth? Hold a funeral for the fetus and burn the mother. Burn the mother at the, I imagine it's stake. I'm trying to hit see more because you went too long, and so there we go. Yeah, that is what you said. Okay, I used context clues. Personally, yeah, Leon, I mean, that was my mistake in 2016. Personal life is personal life, and I really held it against her, and I shouldn't have done that. She wasn't exactly likable, but she was qualified, and I don't think we would have had the nightmare that we have today had she been elected. And honestly, I think that a lot of us still would have gotten involved in politics and gotten involved in protests and everything else, even if she got elected. I know a lot of people say that one of the positives of Trump getting elected is that it invigorated so many people and got them inspired to actually act. I think I would have acted anyway, because the reason I got involved was because I felt Bernie was cheated from the primary. Trump just sort of solidified it for me. But I was already pissed. I was ready to go. You guys have any other comments? Otherwise, I'm going to wrap up. We're supposed to get another Nevada update tonight, so I might go live again. All right, if you don't have anything for me, I might check in later. I hope you guys are all hanging in there. Think about it. Think about how are you going to react? What are you going to put on social media? I already predicted earlier today that it's the first thing that'll trend is "you're fired." That's going to be the first thing that starts trending, you guys. You're fired. Absolutely, right? I mean, how could it not be the first thing that starts trending? Okay, I'll try to, Rhonda. It depends on how I'm feeling and how much alcohol I intake. I'll just be real with you. Okay. Thanks all for joining in, and this is exciting. I think we have this in the bag. It's just a matter of waiting at this point. Just be patient. The people who were calling me depressed this morning are happy now, so I think we're okay. That's good, Leanne. That was the right thing to do. I actually threw my vote to Gary Johnson, and that was kind of stupid, but I felt like I was in California and I wasn't going to really matter, and now I realize they're all hopped up here, you guys. All right, what do you got, Betty? Just on a call with WFP Corey Stacy, PA and Frontline. That's what I was thinking too, because I was watching the news and it looked like we were gaining in Georgia, and they're just now getting the Atlanta votes counted. So it looks like we're going to take Georgia, y'all. We've got this in the bag. Okay, I will check back in when they make an official call on this race, but I think it's done, you guys.